I cannot put into words how incredibly worthless and inconsequential you have made me feel. It's hard reaching out for treatment, but it's even harder to have doors constantly slammed in your face and being passed around like you don't matter.
The words of Luke Gaul, taken from a letter he wrote to the mental health trust his family say failed him. A month after sending it, the 25-year-old took his own life.
As a mum, you never expect that it's going to happen to you. You never think that your little boy is going to end up taking his own life.
Ruth and Len Gaul contacted me after we reported on claims by the charity Inquest that there had been an alarming number of deaths at Tees and Wear Valley's NHS Foundation Trust. Luke was under its care after a referral by his doctor. He'd been suffering suicidal thoughts whilst at university. His family say he was on a waiting list for months and was only offered telephone counselling.
Luke and his doctor appealed against this basically. He felt that it wasn't adequate, it didn't reflect Luke's needs.
That's the first line of contact, your local GP, and if they're escalating it like they did with Luke and nobody's listening, how can things improve?
Following Luke's death in 2016, an inquest found there were no failings in his care, but his family took legal action, and the trust later admitted care had fallen below the standard expected. It said while they can't say his death was preventable, appropriate care would have reduced the risks to Luke.
All we wanted was for the trust to learn Luke wasn't just a number, and that's what we just want them to learn, not only from what Luke went through, but what families go through as.
Do you think they have learned?
I don't think so.
Earlier this week, I spoke to the man in charge at the trust and put to him concerns over the number of deaths.
Sadly, as a consequence of the sort of work that we do with some very challenging and troubled individuals, we do see a number of deaths in our work. But the people that regulate us, the Care Quality Commission, tell us that we're actually not an outlier. It means that we're not unusual for the number of deaths that we see.
I heard Mr. Kilmurray's response. I was quite frankly astonished by it.
Alistair Smith is a solicitor representing bereaved families. He says he's aware of 22 people who've taken their own lives whilst under the trust's care in the last 5 years.
I'm hearing repeat stories. The failure to risk assess them properly, the poor case management, the failure to listen to the concerns of the families. Yes, mental health is difficult, it is challenging, but these are deaths, and the deaths that I have seen should not have happened. There were simple failings.
Today, in a statement, the Trust Chief Executive Brent Kilmurray said there have been failings and I'm determined to improve our service to the community. Our ambition is to have a suicide rate of 0. To help achieve that, we have listened and identified the need for us to make improvements, and this includes our culture and behaviour. As a result of lessons learned, we have made changes to care plans, risk assessments, to some of our ward routines, and made investment in environments to make them safer for people in our care. Luke Gaul would have turned 30 this month. The grief just as raw for his parents as the day he took his own life. For them, there is only one way to move forward.
Until you get to the very root cause of what the problems are, these problems will continue, and young people will continue to take their own lives. They cry out for help. Yet when they reach out for help, the help isn't there. So there has to be an investigation into the root cause.